when I'm down on Chestnut Street, when I'm on that deep sleep, I can hear old number 9 as she goes rolling by. Freight train runs so fast. Freight train runs so fast. Please don't tell what route I'm on. They won't know where I'm going. When I'm gone and in my grave, more good times here I crave. Lay the stones at my head and feet, tell them all I've gone to sleep. Freight train runs so fast. Freight train runs so fast. Please don't tell what train I'm on. They won't know where I'm going. Please don't tell what train I'm on. They won't know where I'm going.
Yeah.
That was it right there. That's an old Elizabeth Cotton song. It's about 80 years old. It's called Freight Train. I'm sure you've heard it. It's very much covered. A lot of people love it. And it's that old Travis style picking that Elizabeth Cotton probably came up with before Merle Travis did. But he was known for it. Isn't that funny how that works out?
Yeah.
You know?
Recurring story in the music industry.
Yeah. This week's special guest is Max Haas, entertainment lawyer, bass player, singer, songwriter, and booking agent for Loose Leaf Talent Agency.
A lot of hats.
A lot of hats. Introduce my pistol and I rattle my saber. Stand and deliver, for I'm a bold deceiver. Ocean Rim, Durham, Dodgy, C, F, 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 C, G. As I was going over Kerry Mountains, met Captain Farrell and his money he was counting. Drew forth my pistol and I rattled my saber. Stand and deliver, for I'm a bold deceiver. Oh, whack for the daddy-o, whack for the daddy-o, the whiskey in the jar. Very good. I counted out his money, made a pretty penny. I took it in my pocket and I took it to my Jenny. Swore and she promised that she never would deceive me. But the devil's in the woman, and you know they can't be easy. Oh, Shurim, Durum, da. Whack for the daddy-o, whack for the daddy-o, there's whiskey in the jar. They put me in the jail So I knocked down a sentry and bid a long farewell to this old penitentiary. Oh, shoo-rum-doo-rum-da. Whack for the daddy-o, whack for the daddy-o, the whiskey's in the jar. That one's dedicated to my grandfather, Jim Sullivan, who he was a first-generation Irishman, and he was very proud of being Irish, even though he'd never set foot on Ireland before. He just never had the money to do it. And, of course, now you can just go over to Ireland like that. It's no biggie. And big shout-out to my cousin, Tom, who just flew over to Ireland to, spend St. Patrick's Day over there, and he's like, I deserve it, damn it. I'm like, yes, you do. You do.
Did he say it with the Irish accent?
Well, no, he didn't. But he made
I
a
deserve
video.
it, damn it.
He's like, I deserve this. I worked hard for it. I'm like, yes, you did. But Irish music, it's the shit. And when you think about the song that we just sang,
so much American bluegrass too,
and the blues. I mean, think about it. Like we just played a song that was written by Elizabeth Cotten, who. She was probably married to a sharecropper and is the son of a daughter of a slave, and she's singing a song that seems very influenced by Irish music. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's funny how we can't forget that the blues, which has strong African roots, also has Irish roots too. Isn't that amazing?
It has some pretty incredible Native American roots too. There's a great documentary film about that I saw
I gotta check that out.
Months ago.
I'm very curious about Native American history. That's one of my favorite hobbies to read about and to learn about is new tribes, especially when I travel around. If I see that a tribe is we're on their res, I might buy a book and learn about their culture.
Nice.
And I think it's important, to learn about Native American culture and our immigrant culture in our past. That we're all children of immigrants. And that's what we really were pushing in our last episode is the refugees in Ukraine. They should be welcomed in the United States. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
And that's what, being a good neighbor in the West is all about. Anyway, also in lieu of donations tonight, all donations, please direct them towards UNICEF. We're asking people donate to UNICEF, which is all that money goes directly right now to children in Ukraine, which have nothing to do with any of that. No matter how you feel about it, the kids, the innocents, they don't really have any, chance. You know what I'm saying? People are there's little kids that are 2 feet tall that are walking 50 miles to the Polish border. You know what I'm saying? With a smile on their face because they have no idea what's going on. Anyway, so yes, all donations, please direct them towards UNICEF. We're going to put a link at the bottom of the page here.
We could do that.
Into
it's been a while since I've played that.
Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these broken wings and learn to fly. All your life, you're only waiting for this moment to arrive. Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these sunken eyes, learn to see. life. You're only waiting for this moment to arrive. Blackbird singing in the dead of night. Take these sunken eyes and learn to see all your life. You're only waiting for this moment to arrive. Blackbird fly, blackbird fly into the light of the cold black night. Been beaten by the wind, battered by the snow. I'm drunk and dirty, don't you know? And I'm still willing. I'm out on the road late at night, and I see my pretty Alice in every headlight. Alice, Alice. And I've been from Tucson to Tucumcari, to Hatchapee to Tonopah, driven every kind of rig that's ever been made, and even took the back roads so I wouldn't get weighed. And if you give me weed, whites and wine, show me a sign, I'll be willing to be moving. Been kicked by the wind, robbed by the sleet, had my head stoved in, but I'm still on my feet. Smuggle some folks and dope from Mexico, baked by the sun every time you go to Mexico. I've been from Tucson to Tucumcari, to Hatchapee to Tonopah, driven every kind of rig that's ever been made, and even took the back roads so I wouldn't get weighed. And if you give me weed, whites and wine, and you show me a sign, I'll be willing to be moving. I'll be willing to be moving. That's an old Lowell George song there for you by Little Feat. I think it was written almost 50 years ago, like in this 1973 or something like that. It's just amazing.
Yeah. That definitely couldn't relate to the lyrics at the time by any means, but that album that I first heard that on was Little Feat's live album, Waiting for Columbus.
Oh, nice.
And I think my dad first started playing that for me when I was probably like 2 or 3 years old. he reminds me to this day that it was probably listening to those records that first got me interested in playing bass, because you've got like Fat Man in the Bathtub and Spanish Moon that just have these like very groove heavy, very bass prominent songs, and apparently as a little 2-year-old I was just standing in front of the stereo just bouncing, just dancing to it. So
that's awesome.
Years before I actually started playing bass, I think it was already kind of ingrained in me a little bit because of that album.
You're a great bass player. I love the sound of that instrument.
Thank you. Yeah.
Tell me about that bass.
This is a bass made in 1937. The serial number is a 3-digit number, so I don't know how many were made, but this was number 250 off the line at it's a very generic name. I want to say it's American Standard is the brand.
Oh, okay.
And
maybe it's a student model instrument, that you found in colleges.
I'm really not sure where it was originally used, but I bought it from another local Denver bass player, Mike Facey, who at the time, about a year ago, lived only a mile away from me, and he had it listed on Facebook Marketplace. So I went to check it out, and just as soon as I picked it up for the first time, I loved it. And I went to check out a couple other basses, but I was like, no, I have to come back to this one. And it has nylon flat wound, or like a nylon tape wound string on here. So it's still
like a
smooth,
jazz string. Yeah.
Still smooth like a flat wound string you'd typically find in an upright, but it's got this plastic outer layer rather than steel, so it's actually a little easier to play.
Sure.
Arguably a little louder, but also not necessarily as bright and like kind of cuts through the way metal strings would. But I love this bass. It's got some history to it. It's been owned by who knows how many people before me. And it sounds amazing. And it was already set up with a pickup and everything too, so it's worked out. I played it on a couple gigs, played it on a wedding gig a couple months ago, and always looking for more opportunities to play it. 2, 1, 2, 3, 4. I've seen you in the sadness. I've seen you when you hope to die. I've heard you say, well, it's raining all over the world. What did I tell you? What did I say? Just when your faith is gone, give it one more day. I've seen you with your head long, face down in the ground. I've heard you say, well, you're lost and you couldn't be found. What did I tell you? What did I say? Just when your faith is gone, give it one more day. Next thing you're shining right back at the sun, blowing right back at the wind, roaring right back at the ocean. Nothing's gonna do you in. Give it one more day. One more day. Just when your faith is gone, give it one more day. I've seen you when your soul shines. I've seen you when your heart sings. I've heard you say, well, the world don't owe you a thing. What did I tell you? What did I say? Just when your faith is gone, give it one more day. Just when your faith is gone, give it one more day.
Very nice. What song is that?
That's One More Day by the Wood Brothers.
Awesome.
One of
Oliver
my
Wood.
favorite songs. Oliver Wood, Chris Wood.
Very cool.
From not too far from here. They grew up in Boulder.
Oh, did they really?
Yeah,
That's
I just
awesome.
learned that, like, I've been a fan of theirs for a really long time, and I just learned that they
I think
are
I
from
did
Colorado,
know that.
like, when I moved here, or sometime shortly after I moved here.
Yeah. What album is that on, that Wood Brothers album?
That's on their first studio album called Ways Not to Lose from, I believe, 2006.
Yeah, man. It's got that chocolate on your tongue.
Chocolate on Your Tongue.
Lucky Man.
Luckiest Man. So many great tunes on that entire record. Yeah, I could listen to that whole record over and over again.
Max, how you doing, buddy? Thanks for joining us, man.
Great. Thank you for having me. I
Oh.
appreciate you having me on.
I remember meeting you last year, and I was like, this is a great dude. We had a good time. It was a fun adventure that we were on, and here we are again, man, and it's our paths keep crossing.
Yeah.
You know, when I hear entertainment attorney, you know, I'm no stranger to attorneys myself. I've got an attorney back home on retainer in Georgia, and you know, but I don't know what entertainment attorney is. What does
Sure.
an entertainment attorney do?
Well, it takes what an entertainment attorney is takes a lot of different forms depending on kind of specifically what they work on. But there is a wide range of stuff that's covered by entertainment law, right? You've got the music industry, you've got the film industry, you've got visual art and all of the things that are kind of related to that, photography, writers of all kinds, whether, you know, novelists or journalists. There's all kinds of legal issues related to that stuff. And each of these industries has their own little quirks. So you sometimes have attorneys who only work in one industry.
Okay.
So if you're in a major city where there's a really high concentration and presence of the music industry,
like Nashville
or
or
New
New
York or
Yeah.
LA, you'll have people who are just music lawyers. You'll have people who are just film lawyers. But there are artists everywhere, right? So there are entertainment attorneys in smaller markets around the country,
They
including
do more things. They wear
Yeah.
more hats.
Yeah.
Okay.
So, you know, here in Denver, back in New Orleans, where I started my practice a couple of years back, even in just smaller cities throughout the country, there are musicians, there are filmmakers, there are photographers, people who need the guidance of someone who can counsel them on copyright law and on contracts that involve copyrights and works of art. In some
Do you
way.
even represent actors and actresses?
Occasionally, yeah.
Okay, that's cool.
Actors, producers, directors, plenty of musicians, managers, startup record labels, pretty wide range of things. So for me, what I do is I focus on mostly what we call transactional work, which is negotiating contracts and things like that. Anything that has anything to do with copyrights, really, which is pretty much all forms of art.
Sure.
And copyright's been a really central focus of my practice from the very beginning. It's actually the reason I went to law school in the first place.
Cool.
I do quite a bit with trademarks as well. So when people need trademarks registered, I do some litigation. So if people have a copyright infringement situation or a trademark infringement situation, I'll sometimes help them out with that.
Okay.
But I like to focus more of my energy on helping artists build things, right? So when they need to set up a company, when they need to get the right contracts in place for their new record, when they need someone to represent them in negotiations with a record label or a publishing company, those types of things don't involve going to court at all. They don't involve adversarial dynamics, but it helps artists actually make things happen and protect their rights in the process. So that's really what an entertainment attorney does.
Cool.
Big picture is work with artists and try to protect artists and help make these things come to life.
How do you find? If we wanted to hire you as an attorney, how would we find you?
So I'm an attorney with a cloud-based law firm called Parlatory Law Group.
Okay.
You can find my information on parlatorylawgroup.com. Navigate to the attorneys page, and we're organized in alphabetical order. So you just scroll down, you find me there. Or you can email me at max.haas@parlatorylawgroup.com. I usually start off with an initial consultation.
Cool.
you know,
Cool.
just sort of a 1 hour meeting to actually get some details on what people have going on. And then, you know, we figure out whether we need to go further from there. But email is the best way to get started with that.
Okay.
I also have a website, haasentertainment.biz, that I kind of use to compile all of the different things that I have going on. So the homepage will show you what I'm doing with my booking agent work. There's a page that talks about my legal work, a page that talks about my music stuff and the bands that I play in. Just figured it would be easier to kind of put it all in one place instead of having my attorney profile on my firm's website and my LinkedIn page, but then I'm posting about my music stuff on my Facebook and Instagram, and I feel like it's just kind of scattered. So I was like, you know what, let me centralize this in one place. So
yeah. All the things is what I call it. Thank God I've got Lily over here. She does all the things for me when it comes to the promotion end of it. Yeah, and then Loose Leaf Talent Agency. Now, you guys represent a bunch of bands, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, there's quite a few bands that have been on the roster for a while. I also brought a couple bands with me because there were a few bands I started working with a couple months before I joined Loose Leaf.
Okay.
So I've got a couple of Colorado-based acts I work with, but I also have quite a few New Orleans-based acts that I work with.
Okay.
And I'm working on getting them on tour out here to the Southwest. But I work on, you know, getting bands routed through the Midwest, through the West Coast, East Coast, around the South. The South's where I, you know, first started booking shows when I was living in New Orleans.
Nice.
But there's not enough people who are bringing New Orleans music to other places. It ends up being this very niche thing, but there's just so many incredible musicians down there from all different styles of music. That back in 2016, when I really got started with a lot of this stuff, I kind of made it something of a mission to help get New Orleans bands out there more.
All right. Well, you guys are awesome. Thank you so much for tuning in. Please check out Max's projects. Max, thank you so much for being a guest on this show.
Yeah, thanks for having me. It's been a lot of fun. I really appreciate it.
It really has. And thank you so much for tuning in, commenting, letting us know how you're doing. Thanks to Lily Bear for producing the show. We love you. You're amazing. This has been a lot of fun. And as you can see, like we talk to all kinds of people here. You know, if you're a musician and you also are an attorney, it's even more fun. You know,
I have a few friends like that. Not too many of them out there, but they exist.
So I hope that if you watch this and you're a musician, you gain some insight from Max, and you learned some of the things that I learned, because I didn't know what an entertainment lawyer did, and I learned something tonight. And I'm very interested in the booking agent world. So, so thanks for tuning in, and we'll see you next week for Sometimes a Great Podcast every Sunday, 6:30 p.m. Mountain Time. All right. Thanks for tuning in. Charlie. I could have gone by Charlie. They call my dad Charlie. I don't know.
You still could.
I could just change it all. You know what? Can you stop calling me Chuck? Can you please call me Charlie, please?
Charlie it is.
Charlie from now on. I'm Charlie. I've got a long beard and I'm losing my hair. Well, let me grab my coffee here because, the sooner I drink it, the sooner I'll go to bed tonight.